Ever wondered how those incredible animated movies, those eye-catching visual effects get made? And maybe wished you could, like, quickly get a handle on the software behind it all
Yeah.
without getting totally lost in tech jargon.
Yeah.
Whether you're maybe thinking about creating your own animations or just trying to understand a new creative field or, curious about the magic behind the screen, you are definitely in the right place today. Today we're doing a deep dive into the world of animation software. We'll explore everything from the free tools, which are fantastic for getting started, all the way up to the really powerful paid options that the pros use.
And we'll also touch on storyboarding, why that's so important, the 2D versus 3D differences, and even how these tools are priced, which honestly can save you time and money down the line.
Absolutely.
And we've gathered quite a bit of info for you. We looked at articles from Studio Binder, Tech Radar. They were highlighting their top software picks. Also user reviews from G2, which give you that real world perspective.
Right.
There's a really active Reddit thread about free options, a comparison of free versus paid from Motion Marvels, a guide to sauce pricing from Thales, and even a big report on the whole global animation and VFX industry.
So our goal with this deep dive is really to give you a clear, concise, and, well, hopefully an entertaining grasp of what animation software is all about. We want you to walk away feeling informed, confident, but not like you just read a software manual.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Where do you even start before you animate anything? It turns out it's storyboarding.
That's right. Yeah, storyboarding is sort of the crucial first step. Think of it like the blueprint, the foundation for any animation project.
Yeah.
Its purpose is really to visually map out your story, refine the sequence, basically have a full visual script before you touch the animation software. It lets you experiment, work out kinks in the story without, getting bogged down in the tech side yet.
And Studio Binder, one of our sources, actually offers its own storyboarding software. It sounds pretty handy. You can upload sketches, reference images, and then for each shot, you specify things like, is it a close-up, a wide shot, what's the camera angle, any movement, like panning, and what's the subject, the focus.
And defining those things isn't just planning, it's actually visual storytelling. Like a sudden close-up can really ramp up the tension.
Right.
Or a slow pan might reveal something gradually. These little decisions at the storyboard stage, they really impact the final animation's pace and emotional feel. And yeah, there's lots of software for this, some dedicated, some built into bigger production suites.
Okay, so you've got your visual story planned out.
Yeah.
Now, what exactly is animation software? What does it fundamentally do?
Well, based on those G2 reviews we looked at, it's software specifically designed to take visual files, could be 2D drawings, 3D models, even scanned hand-drawn stuff, and create the illusion of movement.
Okay.
And often, these tools also let you add music, sound effects, really bring it all to life.
So it's not just making pictures wiggle. It's about the whole experience, visual and audio. And G2 also mentioned that the best software often integrates well with other creative tools, like drawing tablets, video editors.
Exactly. That integration is super important for a smooth workflow. Imagine sketching on your tablet and just easily bringing it into the animation software, no complex conversions needed.
Yeah, that sounds crucial.
So you might be wondering, okay, it sounds like a lot of work. Why bother using animation software? What's the big deal?
That is the key question, isn't it? Why make things move?
Well, the uses are actually really broad. Think education animation makes complex ideas easier to grasp visually. For content creators online, animation grabs attention. Gaming, film, obviously huge users. But even architecture uses 3D animation to visualize buildings.
Oh, interesting.
And of course, marketing and advertising rely on it for memorable campaigns.
So definitely not just for Saturday morning cartoons anymore.
Not at all. Animation has this unique ability to convey complex stuff quickly, grab attention, improve understanding, and for businesses, really boost ad engagement.
That's quite a list of benefits.
Right?
So who's actually using this stuff? Is it just the pros and big studios?
Well, animators in game and film studios are definitely big users, sure, but it's much wider now. Content teams making web videos, marketing folks, product teams designing app animations. They all use it. And then you've got students, teachers, even architects and engineers using 3D animation for presentations.
It sounds like it's becoming a really fundamental skill in a lot of different fields.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about cost. Everyone's interested in that. What about free animation software? What did the sources say?
Yeah, the appeal of free is obvious. The biggest pro. Zero cost, it's great for beginners, perfect for learning, trying things out on small projects without spending anything.
Right. Makes sense. But there's usually a catch, right? What are the downsides to going free?
That's true. The main limitations are usually fewer advanced features compared to the paid stuff. Official support might be lacking, so you're often relying on, community forums for help, which can be hit or miss. Sometimes compatibility with professional workflows can be an issue, and if you eventually switch to paid software, there might be a bit of a learning curve because the interfaces can be pretty different.
So it's that classic trade-off.
Yeah.
Cost versus capability. Okay, what specific free tools did the research highlight? Any standouts?
A few names definitely popped up repeatedly. Blender is a huge one. It's primarily known as this incredibly powerful open source 3D software.
Right, I've heard of Blender.
Yeah, but it's surprisingly good for 2D animation too, and even basic storyboarding, according to Studio Binder. But it's worth noting, both Reddit users and Motion Marvels pointed out it has a reputation for being pretty challenging to learn. Steep learning curve.
Okay, so powerful, but maybe not for the faint of heart initially. What else?
Then there's Pencil 2D. That one's often praised for being simple, intuitive, really good for traditional frame-by-frame 2D animation where you actually draw each frame.
That sounds much more approachable for someone just starting.
Exactly. Krita is another strong free option. It's mainly a digital painting program, a really good one, but it also has solid 2D animation features built in. Great if your style is more illustrative.
Yeah.
Synfig Studio is another free one. It's vector-based 2D, and it's particularly good at something called tweening.
Tweening? What's that?
Think of it like this. You set a start position and an end position for an object, and the software automatically generates all the frames in between to create smooth movement. You don't have to draw every single step.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that sounds like a massive time saver.
Yeah.
Any other free ones worth mentioning?
Yeah, a Reddit user brought up OpenTunes. Fun fact, that's actually used by Studio Ghibli.
Really? Wow.
But they also warned it can be pretty complex to figure out at first. For people familiar with mobile apps like Flip-a-Clip, Rough Animator was suggested. It's a free 2D tool that apparently works well with drawing tablets.
Okay.
And there were some interesting online tools mentioned on Reddit too. Trangram, a free online 2D animator for frame-by-frame and tweening. Rive, which focuses on interactive animations, think web stuff, and has a free community version.
Interactive, cool.
Yeah. And Lottie Lab, another free browser tool specifically for Lottie animations. Those are vector-based, super lightweight, great for websites and apps because they scale perfectly.
Lottie, okay.
And finally, someone on Reddit even mentioned an older one, Macromedia Flash 8, as a free alternative that's kind of like Adobe Animate, but, with fewer features.
Wow, that's actually a really decent list of free options. It shows you can definitely get started without spending money. But okay, what if you hit those limits? What if you need more power? Let's talk about the paid software.
Right. Paid software is generally where you see a big jump in, the sophistication of the tools and the sheer number of features available.
Makes sense.
The pros are usually access to more advanced techniques, regular updates, reliable customer support if you get stuck. Plus, a lot of these are industry standards.
So learning them could be good for job prospects.
Exactly. And because they're industry standards, there are usually tons of tutorials, courses, and big online communities around them.
So it's an investment in your skills too.
Yeah.
But the downsides, besides just the cost?
Well, the cost itself is obviously the main one. It can be a real barrier. And increasingly, paid software uses a subscription model, so ongoing monthly or annual fees, not just a one-time buy.
Yeah, those recurring costs can definitely sneak up on you. Okay, so who are the big players in the paid animation world? What did the sources mention?
Adobe is definitely a major force. Adobe After Effects is huge, though it's maybe more focused on motion graphics like animated titles, logos, plus visual effects and VR, rather than, say, traditional character animation. It integrates really well with other Adobe tools, Photoshop, Illustrator, and it's used for shows like Archer. G2 users like its versatility, but yeah, they mention the learning curve, high system requirements, and the subscription cost as cons.
So After Effects is kind of the go-to for dynamic visuals, motion graphics. What about software really built for animation itself?
Toon Boom Harmony comes up constantly. It's seen as a real powerhouse for 2D animation, used in lots of TV shows and films. It comes in different versions too, Essentials, Advanced, Premium, depending on your needs.
Right.
Then for 3D, there's Cinema 4D. It's known for detailed 3D animation, great tools for modeling, lighting, texturing, often praised for being reliable, stable.
Okay.
G2 reviews suggest it's maybe a bit easier to learn than some other high-end 3D programs, good tutorials, but still some find it challenging to start.
So both powerful, slightly different strengths.
Yeah.
Any other major paid ones?
Houdini is another big name in professional 3D. It's known for its procedural, node-based workflow. Imagine building effects by connecting different processing blocks, super powerful for complex stuff like simulations. They offer a free learning version too, which is nice.
Node-based. Interesting.
Yeah. And then back to Adobe, there's Adobe Animate. This one's more focused on interactive vector animations for games, web, TV ads. G2 users like its animation tools, relative ease of use, but again, cost and learning curve are mentioned as downsides.
Seems like Adobe really covers a lot of bases between Animate and After Effects. What about some of those other platforms G2 mentioned? There were quite a few.
Yeah, there were several AI-powered ones getting attention. Vion positions itself as easy-to-use AI video creation for businesses, especially training stuff. Users like the ease of use, but some find the animation options a bit limited.
Okay, AI for business video.
Right. Animaker is another AI platform, well-regarded. G2 even listed it as best free software, but reviews suggest the free tier is pretty restricted. Steve AI is another trending AI video creator, praised for being easy and creative, but needs a paid plan for full access.
So AI is definitely making inroads, seems focused on speed and simplicity for certain tasks.
Yeah.
What about the really established 3D giants?
Maya from Autodesk is absolutely an industry standard for 3D. Modeling, animation, simulation, rendering it, does it all at a very high level.
The big one.
Yeah. Both G2 and Motion Marvels highlight its power, but also its notorious learning curve and significant cost. G2 also mentioned Lottie again, but in the context of the paid platform for creating and managing those vector animations.
Gotcha. And there were a few others on that G2 list, right? More niche, perhaps.
A few more, yeah. Powtoon for visual communication, videos, presentations. Praised for ease of use, templates, but some reported technical issues. Biteable, another online video maker, user-friendly, but maybe limited customization. Unity, which is mainly a game engine for interactive 3D.
Oh, yeah, for games.
Right, but used more broadly now. Prized for versatility, integrations, but cost can be a factor. Render Forest, an all-in-one branding platform for quick videos, maybe less customizable. LTX Studio, another AI video platform, creative potential, but some limitations noted.
Yeah.
And finally, Motion Builder, also Autodesk, a pro tool for 3D character animation, especially motion capture work, used in film, games, engineering.
Wow. Okay. That is a really thorough look at the landscape, free and paid. It's clear there's a tool for pretty much everyone. Let's maybe summarize the core differences between free and paid again. What are the key takeaways there?
Yeah, the main differences really boil down to a few areas. First is feature depth. Paid software just generally offers way more advanced tools, more flexibility for complex stuff. Free tools cover the basics, but often lack specialized controls.
Right, you get more bells and whistles when you pay. What about the final look?
Output quality can be another difference. Paid options often have better rendering engines, more export options, which can impact how professional the final animation looks and feels. Then there's learning resources and support. Paid software usually comes with official support teams, proper tutorials, documentation. Free software often relies more on community help.
So, less hand-holding with the free options. What about bigger projects?
Scalability is key. Paid software tends to handle large, complex projects better. Better tools for organization, more robust rendering, better integration with other pro software in a pipeline.
Makes sense.
And finally, customizability. Paid tools often let you tweak the interface, the workflow, tailor it more to how you like to work.
Okay, so with all these options, free, paid, different features,
Yeah.
how does someone actually choose? It seems kind of overwhelming.
It really comes down to your specific needs and, your goals. Let's break down. If you're a hobbyist, a total beginner, zero budget.
Yeah.
Free software like Blender, Krita, Pencil 2D is the obvious place to start. Learn the basics, no financial risk.
Good starting point. What about someone who's maybe getting more serious, like a student?
For an intermediate animator or a student, sticking with free is still totally fine to build skills. But if you start hitting walls, needing specific features, then maybe look at affordable paid options. Lots of companies offer student discounts on things like Adobe Animate.
Good tip. And for the pros?
In a professional studio, you pretty much need the advanced features, the support, the industry compatibility, so investing in paid software like Toon Boom Harmony or Maya becomes essential.
Right, it's just required for the job.
Yeah.
What about, say, a freelancer or a small business owner? They need quality, but maybe watch the budget closely.
For a small business or a freelancer, it's that cost-benefit analysis. Do the features justify the price for client work? Definitely use free trials of paid software. Consider monthly subscriptions maybe, instead of annual, to test the waters. See if the investment pays off in efficiency or better results.
That's really practical advice. Okay, let's zoom out a bit now. We've talked software. Let's talk about the bigger picture, the global animation and VFX industry. What's the context here?
Yeah, the report we looked at shows it's a massive industry and still growing. Back in 2018, it was valued around US $259 billion globally, projected to hit $270 billion by 2020, so likely even bigger now.
Wow, what's driving that growth?
Several things. More content needed for broadcast TV, cable, satellite. The explosion of cheap, fast internet access. So many mobile devices now. And of course, the huge popularity of streaming video services like Netflix, Disney Plus do, and so on.
It really does feel like animated content is just everywhere now.
It really is. And it's not just movies and TV shows. There's a growing demand for animation and VFX to power things like augmented reality and virtual reality.
Yeah, AR, VR.
The tech advancements have also made the tools more accessible, so more people can create animation, which fuels growth. It's one of the fastest growing parts of the whole media and entertainment market.
And how is the work actually getting done? Is it all happening in Hollywood?
Not anymore, really. There's a big trend towards globally distributed production. Companies set up studios or outsource work to places with tax incentives, lower labor costs, plus cheaper computing power makes it easier to coordinate internationally. It saves money.
So it's a truly globalized industry now. What about different parts of the industry? Are some growing faster than others?
Well, the report suggested most segments were growing steadily, maybe around 2% year over year, but special effects in movies, that now accounts for like 25% of the total film budget sometimes.
Wow, a quarter of the budget.
Yeah, and streaming video is where the really explosive growth is. That market was growing at like 8% annually back in 2018. Esports is another huge one. The report mentioned growth rates around 30% per year globally.
30%? That's incredible for esports.
It is. The report stressed that consumers just expect more now engaging, high-definition visuals. Movie audiences want amazing VFX, realistic animation. So studios are putting more VFX shots in films, and people are watching this stuff everywhere. Netflix, YouTube, social media.
Right, it's consumed on so many different platforms.
Exactly. And streaming video was called out as the fastest growing distribution channel, double-digit growth. Cloud computing is also a big factor, especially for rendering. 3D modeling it makes production cheaper, more efficient.
Okay.
The report even mentioned AI and machine learning being used for like in-game analytics in esports.
It's amazing how tech is woven into every part of this. Did the report talk about different regions specifically?
It gave a broad overview, yeah. Mentioned trends in Europe, the US, Asia, Africa, the Middle East, highlighted specific countries like Japan, South Korea, Canada, Australia, Brazil, South Africa, talking about animation schools, studios, local trends.
It really paints a picture of a global creative engine.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about paid software and the cost. It seems pretty important to understand how companies decide on those prices. Let's dig into software pricing models a bit.
Yeah, understanding pricing models is definitely key before you buy. Basically, the model just defines how much you pay for the right to use the software and its features. There are several common ways they do it. Okay, walk us through the main ones. How do they charge for these animation tools?
Well, the traditional way was the one-time purchase. You buy it, you own a license to use that version forever, sometimes called perpetual license.
Right, like buying a physical product.
Kind of. Then there's the subscription model, which is way more common now, especially for SaaS, software as a service.
Okay.
You pay regularly, monthly or annually, for ongoing access and updates. There's also usage-based pricing. The cost depends on how much you use it, maybe a rendering time or data processed.
Ooh, pay as you go.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Then tiered pricing, different packages like bronze, silver, gold with different features at different prices. Other models exist too, like value-based, price based on perceived value.
Freemium.
Freemium, like the free software we talked about.
Similar idea. Freemium offers a basic free version to get lots of users, hoping some will upgrade to paid plans for more features. And hybrid models mix elements of these.
It definitely feels like subscriptions are everywhere now. Absolutely. That Thales report specifically highlighted the big shift away from perpetual licenses towards recurring revenue, especially in size.
So what are the main pros and cons of those two big ones, perpetual versus subscription?
With perpetual, the customer gets that feeling of ownership, predictable upfront cost, though it can be a big chunk of change initially. Might not be great for short projects. For the vendor, it's immediate cash, but less predictable long-term income.
Okay.
With subscriptions, recurring revenue, the vendor gets steady, predictable income. The customer usually pays less upfront, which is nice, but over years, the total cost for the customer can be higher, and the vendor depends on keeping customers happy, so they renew.
Makes sense. What about those other SaaS models, per user, usage-based, tiered?
Per user or seat-based is simple, pay per person using it, scales with team size, but maybe discourages adding temporary users. Usage-based is great if you use it lightly, pay only for what you use. But heavy users might pay a lot, and budgeting can be tricky.
Yeah, unpredictable costs.
Right. Tiered or feature-based lets you pick a plan matching your needs and budget. But sometimes it's hard to tell if you really need all the features in a higher tier.
And freemium, you said, is mainly about getting users in the door.
Exactly. It's an acquisition strategy. Get a big user base with the free version, then convert some percentage to paying customers for the premium features. The challenge is getting enough people to actually pay.
Right.
And hybrid just combines strategies, offering maybe a base subscription plus usage charges for certain things. Can be flexible, but also more complex to understand.
So it's really not just the price tag, but understanding how you're being charged and if that fits how you'll actually use the software.
Precisely. And that Thaley source emphasized that software licensing and entitlement management is what controls all this. The license dictates who can use it, what they can use, based on the price they paid. It controls things like accessible services, time limits, number of users where you can use it, usage caps, and access to specific features. Those are the entitlements.
Got it. It's all about managing access based on payment. Wow, okay. We have covered a ton of ground here, from storyboarding basics through free and paid software, industry trends, pricing models. Let's try to boil it down. What are the key takeaways for someone listening?
I think the main thing is just how diverse the animation software world is. There really is something for everyone, every skill level, every budget, every kind of project.
Yeah.
And understanding those pricing models we just discussed is pretty crucial for making smart choices financially.
And don't forget where it all begins.
Absolutely. Start with storyboarding. Get that visual foundation solid before you dive into the animation tech itself. It's so important.
So what should you, our listener, do next with all this info?
Really think about your own goals. What do you want to create? What's your budget? What are your ambitions? Then maybe explore a couple of the specific free or paid options we mentioned that sounded interesting. Use those free trials.
Good advice. Get hands-on.
Definitely. And if one particular software grabs you, dig deeper. Look for tutorials, read more reviews, maybe find online communities for it. And, keep an eye on those broader industry trends too. It's a fascinating, fast-moving field.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, here's a final thought for you to mull over. With technology, especially AI, moving so fast, how is that going to keep changing animation? Will AI make it even easier for anyone to create amazing animation? What kind of new creative doors might open up as these AI tools get smarter and more available? Definitely something to watch. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into animation software.